Welcome back, guys, to Ben's Beef. Today's beef, polls, especially election polls, but just polls in general, because there's opinion polls, whatever. And most people think of polls, when I think of polls, I think of it's something official, it's fact. It's not something that could be manipulated or whatever, but, and that's what the most of the general public thinks of polls, right? We think they're official. But who pays for these polls? Who's financing the polls? Is important, because to me, most polls, they're like a paid advertisement, really. How often have they been way off? Many times, especially when it comes to Trump. So people go, well, polls don't affect how people's behavior. It affects their behavior, it affects their attitude, it affects their perceptions, it affects a lot of things. I'll give you a few examples. So let's take an election poll where you're sitting at home and it's the day before the election and the poll's saying that your guy is like 20 points behind, and even if your dog voted, he wouldn't win. You're not going to go vote. Most people won't go vote, right? It's a done deal. We don't know if that's fact. We trust it, and that's why we make those decisions. So, and then another one would be where they would use it where they need more, say they need more money for a candidate that's running against another one. So what they'll do is they'll put the poll saying that they're running neck and neck. So now they have an excuse to go and seek more money to help that candidate. So that's paid advertisement. And you see how easy that can be manipulated. But we think of these things as official, almost government official polls, right? Most people think that polls are not going to lie to you, just like not politicians, but your government in general is not going to lie to you. Your health department's not going to lie to you. These are all, police isn't going to lie to you. These are all things that we assume they're not going to lie to you. And that's the problem. We assume. We shouldn't be doing that, but we assume. Or we live in a society. We follow rules, right? So these are part of the rules. Don't, trust these people. Don't question them, right? Well, so you see how polls can influence people. We don't need polls. What do we need them for? They've never been proven to be right, very rarely. So why don't we just make them illegal around elections? That should be number one. 6 to 8 months before election, there should be no polls, period. Because it's just paid advertising. And the difference is, what people go, well, what polls aren't going to influence people that way? Yeah, they do. Why would people spend trillions of dollars every year on advertising if what they're saying doesn't affect what people do? That's what advertising is. You pay money, they give a blurb, and that affects how you spend your money, how you make your choices. It affects everything you do, advertising. Otherwise, nobody would be spending money in advertising. I wouldn't be. But at least you know that somebody's paying to get that message out, and they have a reason for it. When it comes to polls, we don't know who's paying for them. But it's their opinion they're getting out, and you can see how easily a poll can affect people. I give you a couple examples. You could probably find a ton more, but polls, get rid of them, especially around elections. Make it illegal. Canadian government, you start first, show some ass and do it. Thanks, guys. My beef.